Terima kasih sudah klik video ini. Jangan lupa tekan tombol like, tekan subscribe, dan nyalakan tombol notifikasinya. Selamat menonton.
I would like to see Kelra try to bench Flap. Let's talk about this roster. Ingan, the M6 World Champions.
You know, after losing to TOPH in week number 3, they're on a roll with a 5-game winning streak. It looks like they finally found their footing, especially since King Kong is looking like the beast once again in his own jungle.
And the Monster Mage has looked even more monstrous, especially when him and Brusco have this connection locked in. They're back to their deadly duo ways.
You know what? I dare to speak to the contrary, but we'll talk about that later because they're facing off against the M5 World Champions, Team Falcons.
I highly doubt Kelra can actually bench the monster in the far left, which is Flap TZ. He's gotten bulkier and bulkier with each season, and his role has become more demanding, as was even presented by Mplph earlier. EXP laning is so demanding now because you have to be able to play a multitude of roles and a multitude of heroes. So it's going to be important to see how Flap TZ is going to be able to balance this out.
All right, looking at the spider graph here, Onic plays in the early while Falcons play in the late. This rings true especially in the jungle, which is why I would dare say King Kong has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Kyle TZ, even in the early days of Season 15, has had exceptional Lord control. King Kong, he's working on his pathing, but when it comes down to the retribution, the beast has a lot of room in his tummy.
Yeah, he's kind of struggling right now. Even Mplph was actually able to point it out on what he wanted Onic to work on, especially coming into the Mobile Master. So it's going to be a clash in the Turtle and Lord Pit between God junglers.
Yeah, when it comes to the total turtle kills, Kyle TZ is edging out King Kong there with 8 more, 37 to 29 for King Kong. While for the Lord kills, that's where King Kong's just a little bit... Well, no, he's even with Kyle TZ in that regard. So yeah, for the early game, the turtles and stuff, that's where King Kong seems to be struggle for majority of the season so far.
Yeah, so there's this match for us to see exactly where the beast is now. Check out the players experiencing ultra-fast 5G connectivity with the smart ping test that's happening right now.
Flap TZ with the pose. Flap with the Arnold pose. Katagalan na ito daw ng tumagal, tsaka alam ko naman na inaabangan na sa tarabangan yung papakulan para din abangan. Basta ko lang pala batang alabang, mas mabilis pa kay Cloudy. Kirk, tumira ng tres, I miss you best. Brusco, anong palag mo? Dali-dali mag-retre sa suyo eh. Kahit ako mag-suyo, kaya ko yung retre ng lahat.
Di ka dito sa long lane. Parang gusto ko mag-zilong. Ilong ko parang kamat. Bakit na ko nare-retrihan ng walang season hunter? Ikaw kahit walang nawala, may na pa rin.
A little bit of banter before the match begins. And of course, a look into what pre-match prep could be for world-class athletes such as the Bulletproof and the Filipino Savage. Renmar talked to us about the K2V brought to us by Infinix.
All right, so Mplph earlier in the interview mentioned a very important point. Jawhead, controlling early, and flexibility around the Cho. But that's just one of the many things you have to consider in this metagame wherein there's a lot of familiar heroes, but you need to have a massive arsenal ready. So load up Onic Philippines. While for Team Falcons, we've talked about the patterns of the heroes disrupted. Not just in the draft, but then disrupt how you try to jungle if you're King Kong. Disrupt King Kong's juggling pattern, that's what I'm trying to say. And for both, Marco, I'm kidding, I got you. It's macro is king. So you can't just always play around the trades of who can beat each other up in the center of the map. Sometimes you have to win it through sheer map control. Push the side lanes hard.
And even, you can see it actually in Super Marcos, but especially with the Moskov, apart from the Granger, he excels when it comes to being able to split push. Even if Team Falcons are actually behind, they actually find a way to make things right and go back on track once Super Marco has covered in ground in the map.
And that's going to come into play being on red. Who knows what the Bulletproof will end up with in the draft, because Onic Philippines have decided to go blue. And prior to Week 6 starting, gentlemen, we're as close to 50-50 as it can get between blue and red. So right now, it doesn't matter between Coach Wynot, Coach Hayes, and Coach Treb. I'm pretty sure they've got the draft figured out either way.
You know, I honestly have a feeling that this game could go very, very fast or very, very long. So our average time of 16 and 30-something seconds, I think it won't happen for this series in particular. It's going to be fast or slow.
All right, so, you know, I like that. Sometimes we play around the center of it too all. I like that you've decided it's either going to go super fast or super slow.
Any hair on the line for this one?
Yeah, clearly Flap doesn't have any hair on the line for this one.
You've learned your lesson too.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
All right, here we go. Game number 1. Onic on the play, banning out the Matilda, the Phovius, and the Moskov, interestingly enough, while Team Falcons take out the Jushin and the Harith.
All right, so Onic Philippines respecting the idea that, okay, macro is what we're going to fight for here, so let's take out some of the best heroes that control the map. While for Falcons, they've gone the route of taking away 2 of the go-to bans on the red side while going for a little bit of a more unique ban on the red side, which is the Harith. So now they're putting the Joy Suyo trade up and active, but then Onic Philippines will have to consider, wait a minute, that means that's going to be an instant get on the Granger for Falcons. What are we going to get left with? An Iritha for Blue 2-3? Onyx probably thinking now, what if we get the Granger first?
A lot of possibilities. I mean, Team Falcons this time can also trade out the Kalea and Suyo, as you mentioned, if Onic decides to go for the Granger. And again, if you're going to go back to their previous series, the last time these 2 teams have faced off in the Land of Dawn, actually Super Marco picked Granger for 3 straight series and beating out beating out Onic.
And it did. There's the Kalia trade.
Woo!
For all of those wondering really how much of a game changer Kalia is in the metagame, check out Remar Santa Cruz's video. He spent about good 20-30 minutes talking about how she single-handedly affects everything happening in MPL Philippines. And there you go, Falcons walking in with a trade that they were planning for anyways, a good jungle and EXP combo. Great damage coverage too, magic and physical.
Yeah, damage coverage, fantastic. Crowd control coverage will go towards Onic because they're also going to be getting the Suyo in the jungle later on. And then they decide if they're going to start to play around for the EXP laners. They show up the Kalea, or they can continue threaten the idea softly that, hey, maybe this Kalea is actually going to the EXP lane later on. So let's pick up a Super Friends favorite in the Low Yi. Third key to victory, again, for both of these 2. Make sure your macro is great, so they go ahead pick up the Low Yi for that. While Falcons, I love this pickup. I'm a glue guy. They go glue red 3.
Whether blue or red, Falcons are not afraid to put glue up in the first phase of the draft. Flapteezy, the Filipino cannon, he is so good at disrupting front lines, back lines. Hell, last week alone against Smart Meg, I saw him flicker right in point blank range just to get that grab.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing Flap can utilize, especially in going up head-to-head up against Kirk. We all know that a focal point that the Team Falcons can go for is actually the XP lane in Kirk. So right now, can Chip be an actual option for Team Falcons, considering that they also picked this out during the previous series?
Yeah, Chip is still active for both, and if they want to be able to match the map presence of Onic Philippines, so Onic might want to consider banning it out, because if they go ahead and give the Chip, that means they'll be ready for it. They're going to be playing a little bit more surf than trying to play more around the ultimate of the Low Yi and the duality of the Low Yi to catch the entry through the shortcut off guard.
So they take out one of the few heroes, the Selena, which actually few excels in. Final ban, did they take out the Moskov or Irthel if they're going for that gold lane ban?
Moscow's already out. So this makes Falcons' decision so much more easier. They can really bog down Kelra's choices. And again, they're already suffering on range. Say what you will about Super Fritz getting his Luo Yi, but that's just one big in. The fight actually going down is another story entirely.
Will we actually see another Beatrix if ever Irithel gets banned out, or the Brody? Because I know correctly only... Okay, so they take out the Badang.
Only Shizo has played the
Beatrix only
so
one
far.
time, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Beatrix too. You need that great source of a targeted basic attack. They still can just fall into the Irithel, but I don't like their damage window if that's the case. They're going to be very reliant on winning the center of the map to make sure that Kelra's farmed up well enough, and that's kind of a big gamble to take, especially in this metagame right now. So I want something a little bit more balanced. Despite there being the presence of a Joy, honestly, I would not mind the Beatrix.
So for Kirk, later on, you still have the Edith or CC. If you're going up against the Go final bans
Yeah.
for Onic.
We have to acknowledge that the Cho is still active.
Oh!
Not anymore. I spoke too soon.
All right. Onic PH knows that that's a valid pick still. Again, foreshadowed by Ben Things in our pre-match panel.
Yeah.
He noticed that Ogwin is more willing now to pick up the Cho.
Yep.
So that means the Master is learning new tricks. One pick here before they throw over back to Onic to close up. Do they secure the roam or do they pick up something for few?
Join's also open.
Yeah.
In case.
Oh, all right. So they go for speed around the map. Okay, so Falcons is playing a very aggressive game here. Onic Philippines. Okay, if their center of the map is already aggressive, you know what? They can play for a little bit of a later pick. Falcons, I would want to see them consider the Sicilian so that it's not just the Joy. And you have a consistent stream of magic damage going in even without the electrifying beats. So for Onic, if it's not the Beatrix, then yeah, it's the Irithel. Then they go Gatot Kacha for most likely this is going to be a Kirk pickup because that's one of the few things that Onic Philippines do for themselves is put the Gatot Kacha into EXP against a tanky EXP laner, the other team.
What's killer to pick here? We already mentioned all of the options, unless there's something new. Who knows? Week 6, we might see another debut. Could it be? Nope.
It's a Bruno.
This is what? A solid tier B plus, tier A marksman?
Yeah, in the second half of the, ever since the patch dropped, more teams have been actually picking Bruno up more as the next option alongside Moskov in that tier of gold laners.
So now they still lack mid laner for few, and we all know few one of the few heroes who actually have a high unique hero pool. There's still Valentina. Vexana's been Vexana's still in the picture.
As I said earlier, Sicilian would I feel like would be the pick that they'd go for. But Kali and Valentina are a great poking combo in the center of the map, but you get the risk is you get sucked up by the duality. Plus you're gonna give the Tsunami Slam to. Oh, you could get Tsunami Slam. Excuse me. So yeah, maybe Valen or Sicilian.
Among the plains
Oh,
exists
Eve.
none of the
Or something totally different.
made.
Huh. This makes the whole run and gun situation all the more a reality.
Yeah.
Because you control the fight, you cordon off the exit points for Onic, and you make them kind of regret even picking the Kalia first in the draft because, wait, she can hop out of the RWM, yeah?
Yeah, she can.
Yeah.
She can just use the Tsunami Slam to get out of it without a problem. It's not that difficult for a Kalea to get out of it. So that's why I was wondering why the Eve pick. I wasn't even considering the Eve. Yes, it's good for the Bruno, but then you're up against a Kalea, Suyo, and Gatot Kacha. The formation around an Eve gets broken quite easily. But if we look at the numbers, yes, it's very cohesive. They have a great lineup with a good balance of crowd control, very disruptive in team fights, and they can snowball. Their snowball condition is if they win the first turtle fight, then get an invade after that. That's big. If they win the first 2 turtle fights considerably, then they control the early game.
Is this a late 2024 Eve pick or another Game 7 MSC Eve pick for few? We're about to find out. Game number 1 in a best of 3. It's a star match for Week 6. Onic PH versus Team Falcons PH. One more look again. Keep close tabs on the rotation and the clearing path of the Beast King Kong.
So, I mean, is it just me, or I find Kalia a bit, especially in the pro scene, or just in the pro scene, a bit overrated?
Ooh, starting with the hot takes, huh?
How dare you?
No. I'm seeing it because so far, okay, this time they're going to focus fire on the XP lane. A good decision that can bear fruit for Team Falcons, especially early on in first turtle.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, one of the reasons why the overratedness comes in is because you have Purifies getting picked up in the pro scene. No one wants to do that in the ranked games for some reason against a Kalea.
Okay, but you want to go for few, already pops his Purify, and that's a worth it engagement for Onic.
Okay, good trading around the center of the map. So King Kong went purple to orange upwards, then it's going to go back for the Golem. All right. And we saw earlier in the emblems is to pull yourself together for the Kalea. You do actually need that in the pro scene because you need your flicker more often as a Kalea.
Some were theorizing the revitalized Kalia, but that might fit more in your ranked games. This is a very proactive Kalia, and again, it's very utilitarian. Onic PH can use that defensively, offensively, and look, Ogwin wants to go fast. The fact that the Kalia is just standing there and Ogwin knows is slowing down this approach, setting up a turtle fight. Onic wants this turtle. They want to fix those early game stats.
Yeah. I really like the positioning right now of Onic. You saw earlier how deep they were diving under Fuse Towers to bring him down low. So they're really putting a lot of importance yet again to controlling the center of the map.
They delayed Fuse level 4, and they're dogpiling on the turtle here.
Okay, the Beast still was able to get the first turtle, forcing out even Mplp's flicker, plus the split. Here comes Kirk with the AOG. No counter trade for Team Falcons.
Oh, where's this going? The diversion. Oh, just a feint.
Yeah, no, I think they sent King Kong to the orange buff.
Just a 2, yeah, just a 2.
Yeah, just the 2 to steal it away.
Alongside Brusco, here comes the slam onto Kyle TZ, paired up with a title spike. They're going to bring down Kyle with the first blood.
All right, Ian, tell me now, is it overrated?
Now, in the hands of Brusco, clearly not. But in the hands of Ian, yours truly, yes.
Thank you for the disclaimer. I thought we would spend an entire day where I'd hear disrespect on the Mykalea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a possessive Michael?
Yes.
When was Kalea actually allowed to be picked? Was it week 4 or week 3?
Yeah, week 4.
Okay, so 2 weeks was more than enough for these pro players to actually make him or master Kalea. Ogwin jumps in but gets caught out by 3. And Super Friends joins the party, picks up a kill of his own.
Yeah. Excuse me, I believe that was week 5, right? It was only 1 week that we've seen Kalea. Week 4 was when the patch dropped. Week 5 is when Kalea was active. All right.
So, okay, they only need 1 week then.
Yeah. Look, a lot of pressure being applied onto the jungle of Kyle TZ. So, and a very smart use of the diversion up top. You know who you can't purify? Kyle TZ can't use Purify. He does have some sort of like purification tool with his ultimate once he's maxed out with the beats, but he didn't have it then. So right now they're just playing around this Kalea and this Loyi very well, sending Brusco into key areas where they could disrupt Kyle TZ, and not just Brusco, even Kirk's doing it. Again, one of the best qualities of Onic.
Oh my God, Brusco looking for a quick one. Does not press the button on it. Dodging that jump.
Kyle TC goes in with electrifying beats. Raging Sandstorm already used up. Here comes the jump coming in from Kirk. Gonna miss the flap. TC was able to go with a split. Hanging on to King Kong. Now here comes Super Marco. They're still trying to work on the Filipino cannon, and the Tsunami Slam is gonna feed it off to King Kong. A diversion up top.
Oh, they're sending the full team just to try and get the orange buff. They really want to disrupt the farming of the Joy here. And you know who I heard earlier said that they think Joy's slightly overrated?
That's not me this time.
No, yeah, it wasn't you. It was Midnight. And I'm honestly starting to see why you consider why. When her jungle is so easily invaded, she falls off so badly.
Hey, you're talking about a man who is a whole desk away, a full broadcast language away, and he's also getting slammed. He's also very wrong. 4-0 currently. Onic sitting with a comfortable 3K gold lead. Super Marco in trouble.
Okay, there was a Purify. Kirk still holding on to the bulletproof. Ogwin very quite low here. Flap TZ jumps in right after Kelra. Okay, Kelra, a couple of hits away, was able to flicker out. Here goes the RWM. But Brusco and Kirk still working on him. Kelra, will he be able to escape? The one more hit.
No way!
Okay, Kelra still alive and turn things around. Still 2 kills for Onic Philippines.
The gold standard still standing despite literally Flap being on top of him for a good 10 seconds.
Big yikes by Falcons. Super Marco could not even get close enough to try and bring Kelra even lower. And Kelra walks out scot-free while Super Marco's lane is getting pressured.
And do you remember what Kelra said a while ago? He can literally bench Flap TZ, and that's what he did.
Yeah, he was doing it there.
All
he
right.
was benching Flap without a problem. It's now a 3-level gap. Make it 2 between the 2 junglers. King Kong is just ruling the jungle right now. Kyle TZ's still hungry.
All right, real quick.
Diversion.
An instant replay. Check out the live. There's a kill on a Kyle TZ live. And let's appreciate that play once more.
You know the action's non-stop when your replay and your actual live is still going on. Brusco jumps in with the Raging Sandstorm onto Brusco. And they're going to be able to pick him down. Kirk with Revitalize as Super Marco trying to clear out the mid lane. Here comes Flap TZ once again with a split. And it looks like the Clash will disengage.
Falcons right now completely out of their tempo. Few was doing no damage to Kelra. under the real-world manipulation. He got 3 taps in and was barely able to take him past down 50%. He brought that up when Keller was at around 90%, 70, 80% health. So still needs a little, way more damage for this Eve. It's gonna have to get to the point where Falcons will have to understand they lose control of the early game. Mid-game's gonna be a big struggle for them even more. They have to play for a little bit later, see if they can win out trades by only losing their roamer and or EXP. They cannot lose their main damage dealers anymore.
Falcons no longer contesting. Clear take for the last turtle of the game here. Onic, PH still asserting dominance in mid while holding this diversion like a sword of Damascus. All right, rotating down over to Super Marco. Does he know there's 4? Does he know there's 4?
Okay, here comes the taunt. Still has his Purify plus his tower. Ogwen with a conceal. Will Team Falcons engage here? It looks like they're not going to engage, all the while King Kong's just pushing up top.
All right, 5 members of Falcons committed to protecting that tier 1 in mid and in bottom. And the rotations are so slow compared to Onic. Run and gun pales in comparison to Onic's sheer map control with the diversion.
And again, we were talking about it earlier. In the center of the map, their damage profile is great, but they're severely lacking that hard crowd control that a Kalea, even a Lowy soft crowd control, even the crowd control Suyo can do. It's just way better.
Oh!
Tsunami Slam paired up with the AOG. Ogwen counters out with the Raging Sandstorm. They're going to bring down Mplph. Kirk with Revitalize to out-sustain the damage from Falcons once again. And no trade still for the Green Falcons.
Dudes is just flying everywhere, despite there literally being a box to hold them in. The diversion coming through, coast to coast, over to the orange. All right, Kirk and Brusco, too late to spot that orange take.
All right, how Onic isn't going for pick and rolls, they're going for pick and pops. Once they get the pick, pop them. And that's exactly how you want to play when you have a Kalea. Don't waste the Tsunami Slam, play into it.
So far, approaching the 7K gold lead, Onic is calling all the shots. Ogwen here, even with a sandwalk, afraid to walk into the wrong bush. Quick sand guard just to top himself up. I think Falcons are feeling the heat. Like, they can't even recall to recover because Onic is just going way too fast.
I called it. I told you guys, it's either going to be a very fast game or a long game. And 9 minutes in already, 7K gold lead. Okay, they're trying to work. Okay, Tsunami Slam countered out Ogwen. Here comes the real world manipulation.
Oh, man.
But still, they were able to take down the Master. Kirk on the back with the AOG.
Oh.
And King Kong with the Evil Queller onto Flap. The next target is Mplph. That's a 4-man down. 4 Falcons will fall down. King Kong wants to go for more. There's a diversion, and the Bulletproof stays alive.
All right, no additional casualties for Falcons. Super Marco, the only one left. Clear go signal for Onic to go for the Lord.
As a Falcons guy, I just want to say the gods looking like they are so back. Falcons so sharp, so decisive. A lot of what we've missed out from Onic Philippines for the beginning of the season. When we saw them go on their winning streak, we started missing it a little bit more because we saw shades of it. Now against Falcons, they are so back.
And they're jumping in once again onto the Master.
Wow.
Next target here is Mplph. Tsunami Slam to deliver the final blow. AO diversion up top. They're just going to try and steal away the orange buff.
You know, I don't blame you. With all of the things happening, you don't know if they're fainting an AOG or a diversion.
Yeah.
It's a lot of AoEs.
Or one of Kalea's passives.
And they commit the ultimate to steal the orange buff.
Ladies and gentlemen, Onic have reached the 11K gold lead mark, approaching 12. Falcons are out of their breath. They are flying at altitude so low, they're struggling to even put gold on Super Marco, who, by the way, is still bulletproof. But at what cost? Let's check out the items here. He's barely built 3. All this while, oh my God, he is almost 3,000 behind Kelra.
Yeah, he may be bulletproof, but he's not Onic proof.
Okay, Ogwen trying to go look for an angle, but it's spotted out by Kelra. Lord already bursted down to mid lane, hit with their turret as Mplph onto Keller with a split, but he's targeted by 4. A conceal coming in from Onic Philippines, and it looks like they got their job done. They were able to take the base, and now they're surrounding Mplph with 4 members, and the Filipino cannon shuts down.
They almost took flat back to their
King Kong.
boot camp in the base.
Oh, the beast incarnate himself still alive, but gonna get taken down by Super Marco. Onic family still holding on. 4 members are able to take down 2 once again. And now the tier inhibitor up top and down bottom. Super Marco gets a kill. On to Brusca though. Kirk jumping in once again. They take down Master Ogwin Kelro with a tower lock. Onic Philippines win a fast game to take down the Soaring Falcons.
11.5 minutes all it took for the Super Fam to get to match point. This is Friday Night MLBB, folks.
Y'all want to talk about crimes? I'm gonna lay down a law right now. It is a crime to call Kalea overrated.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It is not a crime.
Ingan, you're getting served right now. You gotta go to court. MLBB court, that is.
We're gonna have a hearing later, but Falcons definitely heard that loud and clear. My goodness, they felt it too. Tsunami Slam, they made the most out of it, and what we talked about, or what even Coach Why Not talked about. Onic Philippines, first half of the season, they looked like they were playing in their heads. Something was up. Championships, getting to your head, kind of scared of success. What is going on? This is the Onic that we know shines so brightly because of how decisive and fearless they are. And they play around the Tsunami Slam. Again, pick and pop to take down run and gun.
You know, prior to the Onic Philippines win streak, we saw King Kong really struggling. Even down to the kills among junglers, he was actually 7th or maybe even 8th. But now looking at this game, he's going back to his beast form, even topping the whole game with most kills, I believe, even beating Kelra in his own game.
It's cool because he unleashed the beast and he didn't even need to be a Lucas to do it. Thank goodness, right?
Slowly but surely, I'm glad that that happened. He's slowly crawling back on top of the food chain. He did draw first blood. What was that? A triple? A double? But still, the MVP, of course. Right in Ingan's face, the Kalea of Game 1. It's the Bruiser, Brusco.
How did this happen? How does a man get an MVP with an over